Good morning, Trader's Edge with high-tech trading analysis. This morning I'm going to demonstrate the features and configurations of one of my newer products called double-click zones. Most of you know I draw on my chart a lot, whether it be trend channels or Fibonacci's or support and resistance or whatever. One thing that I've found that I draw a lot are support and resistance areas, supply and demand, areas of interest that I would find either a reversal or a breakout from and to. Now, what we're looking at here is I've got four charts. Each of these charts is the same instrument. They're all CL. Each is a different data series. Got a 30-minute, a 15-minute, a 5-minute, and a hybrid Renko chart that I'm just throwing on here to show that kind of works across to any kind of instrument, however your workspace is laid out. You can see that each of these tabs have multiple, or each chart has multiple tabs. Now, this isn't anything part of the indicator that I'm going to use, but just as an explanation, as I might go across particular different instruments, I've got an add-on that if I click on a particular tab of one chart, it will automatically take me to that same tab on another chart. So here I can set up one monitor, one workspace, four windows per se, with four tabs in each window, and all I have to do is click on the tab and I have kind of a different workspace for a different instrument. In any case, let's just, we're on CL right now, and on this 5-minute chart, the first thing that I see that stands out would be, without looking further left, and I'm just looking at the price action that's going on this chart right now, I would highlight a couple things. I would be looking at this area right here up at the top to be support. We would either come up, fade off of this area here, and or come up, take it out, pull back to it, and break back out. I do that a lot, and I wanted a better, quicker, more efficient way. So now if we look at the same area that we were looking at up here, and then rather than me drawing a rectangle around the area that I want, I've designed a tool that I can just double click anywhere on the chart and it will automatically draw a zone there for me. Now I can actually configure this. I provide an icon for the tool, and we can configure this zone type to be from the high or low and just include the tick, or from the high or low to the open, or to the close, or the whole body, or if I wanted just the body only. If I left click on that, I've set the indicator. Now the next time that I double click on my chart anywhere, it's going to highlight the zone of the body of that candle instead of the wick like it did here. Now, the unique thing about this and why it's not in my drawbar is I'm actually using an indicator to place these on the chart. Reason being, the double click for an easy addition to the chart, which I could do through a drawing tool rather easily. What's not so easy to do is double clicking again to remove that object. So all I have to do is double click on any bar. Oops. I'm going to go back and set this to wick. I'm going to double click on any bar and it's going to draw a zone automatically. If I double click on that same bar again, it will remove that zone. Double click, there's a zone. Double click, there's a zone. Double click, it's gone. It's kind of why I have never made a video for this before, as it's pretty much just as simple as that. We double click anywhere, we draw a zone around the bar that we're on. We don't have to be on this bar. You don't want to be on this bar, because once you're on the bar and the bars are selected, if you double click, it brings up the data series of those bars. And the same thing would be as if we had anything on the chart. If we had something like that on the chart, we don't want to double click on that draw object, because if we double click on that, it'll bring up the properties of the draw object. But if we double click anywhere on the chart, doesn't matter where it's on the chart, let's make this. Okay, so it's easier to see where I'm at. And this is one of the, I'll discuss what I've put in the draw bar, and one of the reasons why this became an indicator instead of the draw bar is now that my crosshairs are there, I can double click and there's my zone. Okay, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I just need to be on that bar. There's already a zone there. I double click and it's gone. I double click below the bar and I have a zone below. Double click again, it's gone. Double click above the bar. Oops, wrong bar. And I have another zone. We set this up so that if we double click above the bar and we're getting, let's say, a support area here, that we define that color and the properties, and the same as if we click below. So if I click below, I get one color. If I click above, I get another color. That's all configurable within the indicator itself. Now I can remove those. In the drop down that I provide you, all my products have a drop down type icon where you can select and turn stuff on and off. Let's just make this bigger. Let's get rid of all of our draw objects. Let's put one there again. We drew that based off of these configurations. If I come in and use this drop down now and change this, it's not going to change the information that I'm seeing on any previously drawn zone. It's only going to update the new zones that are drawn again. So now if I show price on the dot and I show a midline, the next time that I draw a zone, we're going to see a midline on there, and we see price at the dot. Now, I can also left click on the object. This would go for anything. We left click on the object, and now we right click, and we have a right click context menu that we can turn multiple things on and off. This is the same type of menu that you're going to get here when you pull this down, except for this is going to apply to any zone that we draw in the future, and the right-click menu is going to apply to just this particular zone that we have selected. So if we just want to turn the midpoint on, we'll show the tick offset, which is here. This is a tick offset, meaning the number of ticks that this line is from the current price. We have price labels here. We have dot labels here. I say dot labels. It's the start point of our zone. So we can put price there if we want. We can put time there if we can want. We can see this changing right here. If I don't want to see the range, I can get rid of the range. I can look at any of these. So from a labeling standpoint, we can configure all of our zones to have all of this information or none of this information, depending on what we select in our drop-down icon prior to double-clicking and creating the zone on your chart. There's a couple more features that are added to this particular one, and we have a show TM1, TM2, and TM3. This would be target multiplier 1, target multiplier 2, target multiplier 3. So we were talking about target multiples. If I come into this and we look at this, this is a double-click zone with a number on it. All of our properties that are in our drop down here and or our right click here can also be accessible here. A couple things that are only accessible here. The target multiplier numbers. So by default, our target multiplier is 3, 5, and 7 for the 3 that are available. You can make those whatever you want. Now, you say, what does that mean? That means that I have a zone here. I have a 14 tick zone. If I right click on that and show TM1, because I have the TM1 set up for a 3 multiple, that means that if I were to say this was a zone, and I were to come up and say that I want to enter here, and just for this particular case, I'm going to exit right on my stop. Now, you'd normally have it above however many, and I don't have that added in here yet. I'm considering allowing you to add, well, putting in a tick offset in any case. So all I'm showing here is that we enter here, our stop is above, this is our risk. We set our multipliers up to be whatever risk reward you want based off that entry. And I give you 3 different ones that you can look at any given time. All we have to do is right click on it. We can turn them off. We can turn all 3 on. This would be 3 times, 5 times, 7 times, or whatever you go back and set up. So I'm going to get rid of all my other stuff. I accidentally double clicked on a chart. Again, simple as double clicking on the right bar. If we left click our icon, there's a couple more things that we can do here. I allow you to either save these zones on exit or not. Meaning, every time you close your workspace down, do you want to save all of these and bring these back up the next time the chart comes up? Or do you just want to start over? Most of the time for this particular tool, I don't save on exit just because I want to start fresh and I'm using this tool on the fly. In the heat of the moment, it's nice to be able to see a blank chart and just click somewhere and end up having a zone on my chart. Okay, so we remove all of those. What you might have also saw on the selection is a draw global zones. And again, as I mentioned, this only controls anything drawn in the future. That this is not going to control what's already on the chart. And once it's already on the chart, there's no easy way. I mean, you can make it global. You've got to double click, go into the properties, and apply it to all charts. But I give you an easy way to make this a global objects across all of your charts. If we just select that, the next time that we draw or the next time that we click on a zone, that zone is applied to every chart. Now, I'm going to tell you the reason why it's not on this chart is because we're not seeing it. It's above price right now. But it doesn't matter what as long as the chart is of the same instrument, this will be applied across them all. If I double click on that again, it's gone. If I double click it on this chart, it's there. If I double click it on this chart, it just creates another one. Well, why doesn't it go away? Well, because you didn't draw it on this chart. You drew it on the other chart. Now, I can left click on that and hit my delete key, and it will delete from all charts, just like any normal draw object. But you can only double click to remove on the chart that it was actually added on. As with anything, if I double click on this and I decide that on this chart here I don't want to see that, I can go into the data series, and in the data series is where we show global draw objects. You can, if you've got daily charts or some other type of chart or any chart that you don't want to see these on, we come in, we uncheck that, we click apply. But I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, I do want them on this chart. I just wanted to show you that as an example. So now while we're talking about this global object, remember that this is how we drew it. And whatever is here is going to be shown globally. So if I would have had my target multiples on there, or if I would have had anything else, it would also be on every chart. I don't believe that I can come in and turn anything that I apply to this particular draw object on the chart that I drew it globally. Once it's already applied to the chart, is not going to apply to the rest of the charts. Like we said, anytime we want to get rid of it, we just double click above the bar and that's it. Now, I'm going to go into the indicator properties for just a second. Double clicking on your chart and having that function do something is quite common among many different types of indicators. I've actually got another indicator on the chart to where, let's cancel this for a second, and I've got my crosshairs on in this chart down here, right? If I hold my control key down and double click, I no longer have my crosshairs on. I can do that to any chart, hold my control key down, double click, and I've got crosshairs, or I don't have crosshairs. Okay, and I actually use the double click in multiple cases for several things, but because I'm doing this with the zones so often on my chart, I don't use a key for it. But let's go back into the indicator properties here for just a second. I give you the ability to select, if you have something else that you're using, I give you the ability to use any of these keys along with the double click to actually draw your zone. If something else is using that, you shouldn't have a problem. When draw global zones is checked on, I do give you the ability to set up a template or to use a different style template both above and below. The reason I do that is right now I don't have anything selected there. We're drawing globally. We come back and I draw this that way. I can't tell the difference between this and this, where this is a global object and this isn't. You might want it that way. You might not. This way I give you the ability so that if it's not global, you draw it by whatever your settings are here, or I give you the ability to draw it with a template. Well, I always think these are going to be 5 minutes and they turn out more. I'm sorry. So we get back into our double click zones, and we needed to mention that this is where our colors for our zones above and below are going to end up. These are the original multipliers that will be used. You'll want to set all that up here so that when you use the drop down here and you turn that on, it ends up being whatever this is. As with all of my indicators, I provide you with a way of changing the background color and the foreground color of the icons I place in NinjaTrader's toolbar. That way you can match that to your own particular theme. And then in all of my cases, I put a little another property under visual that says hide text label. Used to be if you left this blank, nothing showed up over here. Now I believe you can put two quotation marks up there and that works. But in my products case, just come down here and say hide text label, say OK, and then the text labels going across the top won't show. But yet, anytime that you come into your indicators properties, they still show up correctly down here. Okay, there is one more thing I need to mention that I had forgotten. If we draw some zones on our chart, this chart down here is drawing global zones. But let's just add some to some charts that aren't. If we go to this particular chart, find the icon in NinjaTrader's toolbar and middle click, you'll notice that all of the zones that are on your chart will be hidden. We middle click it again and they're back again. Notice the color of the background of the icon in the toolbar when we middle click and it's hidden. It's a darker color. That was the color that we looked at in the indicators property that we can set to whatever you choose. If we come down to the chart that we drew that on globally and we middle click that icon, we're still only hiding the zone on the chart of the icon we're middle clicking. Hope that makes sense. I just thought I needed to mention that. I did want to take just a minute. This is probably all that I'm going to cover as far as the features go. So I just wanted to take a second to explain why this evolved into its own indicator and not part of the drawbar. In all actuality, I did originally start to try to put this concept as a drawing tool in the drawbar, and I have that as a part of this. If I left click, you can see that I have an HT zone DT. Now this is my drawing tool, not my double click zone. If I left click this, just like anything up here, it's going to give me a pencil and I'm going to draw a zone. Now if I left click on that bar, it's going to draw a zone just like the double click. Now I just clicked one time, just like any other object out there. You click on your chart and it starts to draw it. There's an inherent problem with this from the toolbar standpoint, and that being, all I'm going to do is right click on the chart and that's just not going to be there. That being that if my bars are tight like this and I go to draw a zone on the chart, let's say I want it on this bar and I'm up here and I do this and oh shoot, it was the wrong bar. Really wouldn't matter whether if I had the crosshairs on or not. From a drawing standpoint, if this were on my chart right now, if it was all done and said, I have to go down and click on that and hit the delete key and then go back and click on it again, and oh, what a miserable mess. In the drawbar, I've made it so that you actually have to click on the chart twice for this to be there. Left click once to place it, left click again and it'll stay. Let me get out of stay in draw mode so that doesn't confuse you. We left click this, we left click the zone we want to draw. It's the wrong one. Since it's on the wrong bar, I right click, make it go away, come back up and try again on the right bar. It's the right bar this time. You see that I still have the pencil there. All I have to do is left click once I've drawn it on the right bar, I left click anywhere on my chart and it stays there. The reason why I've done that is so that if I left click and it happens to be the wrong bar, I can right click real quick on the chart and it doesn't stay there. That was the first attempt. I use stay in draw mode almost all the time, and once you do that, you click on the wrong bar and you right click to get rid of it. I'm no longer in stay in draw mode and I've got to come back up here and click again. That's really how all of this came about. I needed a quick, easy way to do that. It was a long process to get something as simple as it seems. But it's a whole lot easier for me to click there, oh, that's not the one I want. I double click again, it's gone. I move just a little bit and there it is. It just makes life so much simpler for me, which is why that was done. All right, that was a little longer than expected. Apologize for that. As always, any questions, contact me through my website. Everybody have a great day and take care.